competition when you're fighting for top four and you're playing in a Champions League. So I think I don't think you can really say definitively either way. But maybe the next time around we'll sort of do what we did with Newport and handle them up at Wembley.
Yeah, no.
I'm just gonna say this. I'm not buying this excuse. It's an excuse. It's a poor one. That they don't play together. It's a new starting 11. Rochdale plays together. That squad we put out there. You just look at the team sheet. The players that are out there. They should have played them off the park. I do not like this excuse. It's a poor excuse.
I think so too. These are good players. I mean, lots of internationals here. And I mean, Victor Wanyama, comes in at Liverpool and plays great. Victor Wanyama's had a number of great appearances. Harry Winks has had plenty of big game experience. For God's sake, he's played at the Bernabeu. I mean, I know that he's coming off an injury, but we've got a pretty good history of holding players out that aren't match fit.
So if they're not match fit, Poch does not play them. We that is well documented with him. And Chairs
2-hour discussion with Toby about that. 2-hour discussion with Toby evidently about why he wouldn't play.
And Chairs, when you look up and down that roster that we put out today, when you look at Wanyama, Rose, especially in the first half, Winks, Llorente, even Sonny, who I saw, he was that frustrating player for me today once again, and I was hoping he was going to be 88 minutes of frustration and a moment of thunder that was going to catapult us into the next round, but that never came to fruition. I saw him bitching and moaning at other players when his own performance was subpar, at best subpar. And when you have that many players that are just completely disinterested, it seems, in what's going on that pitch because maybe they feel entitled not to have to play in a competition like this against a team like that, is that what we're seeing?
Well, some did have an indifferent game, and his touch let him down, particularly in the first half. And I think we were just trying to get that opening goal. He was trying to link. Again, goes back to what we said earlier about Llorente, and I thought that was clearly frustrating that he thought he could stride on the pitch and let his boots do the talking, and they didn't. Going to Rose though. I made a comment. I can't remember what match it was, and if it was Newport away or the United match. But he spent more time on his ass. He was getting lumps kicked out of him. He was not having much fun. And I think the only good thing he did was kiss the camera when Harry Kane scored and said Ryan Mason. So
yeah.
But yeah, it was disappointing to see Son huff and puff and just the ball going away from him. I think that one effort that early on, maybe the 20th minute, and he got the ball and kicked it on himself and then just went out for a goal kick. That kind of summed up his evening, I think.
Yeah, and Tim, to your point, it wasn't like Rochdale sat back and played 10 behind the ball either. They attacked and gave us an opportunity to counterattack, which we did absolutely nothing with. And once again, telltale, they bossed the midfield, and it was our midfielder. It was Winks. Keith Nicholson, even on Twitter, was asking, will Harry Winks ever learn to run that running sideways with the ball is not the way to go forward? Did you notice that Trips was furious with him even after they had scored? So,
well, Trips should be furious with himself.
That too.
After they scored, you go and look at that. He puts his arm up for the offsides and stops his run. If he continued, who knows? Maybe he could have got a foot in there, blocked the shot. So, I mean, he should be pissed off at himself for giving up on that play before it was over.
Wasn't that Danny
I do
Rose?
not like to see that. No, it was Trips.
It was Trippier.
I don't like to see that. I hate seeing that. Play it through. Don't put your hand up. Don't worry about if the ref's going to call it. If they're going to call it, they're going to call it, and the goal's not going to happen. But finish out the fucking play. I mean, seriously.
How is it Trippier? It was on our left side.
No, the first goal.
Sorry. I was talking about the second. My bad.
And then if you notice, Sissoko was trotting back. That pissed me off as well. I mean, it was a light jog. It was ridiculous.
So Andrew Christensen at MacTX_14 asks Simon, thoughts on selling Llorente in the summer and replacing him with a promoted youth player since our second striker doesn't seem to get much game time anyway. We've already kind of had a discussion about it's going to be tough for us to sign anybody that is going to be willing to sit behind Kane and play second fiddle, and maybe not because of his age, if he decides to stay, ever have an opportunity to play regular football, barring an injury. Is promoting maybe a Keziah Sterling or a Harrison or somebody along those lines the answer?
Well, it might be. Who was the lad who scored the hat-trick against Arsenal in the U18s?
I don't know. I've never heard of him.
I know.
First time I've seen his name.
Wow. Yeah. So I think we've got options. It's problem is, are they getting the loan experience that they probably need? A la Harry Kane. I mean, how many loans did he get? 4 before he got his chance. So it's an option. I don't think it's going to work. We've got to get a proven striker that's going to be the backup. But the Llorente experiment, I'm sad to say, is not working. And like you, Ken, I was excited at the beginning of the season when we signed him. I thought he was going to chip in with, if not those 15 goals he scored for Swansea, at least a dozen. But it's turning out to be a lesser return than Soldado. And I know the comparisons have been there. So, but anyway, that's my take on that.
Yeah. So one of the things, this trickles down, right? So now we've got another fixture, the Crystal Palace match, which was slated for Monday evening over in the UK. Next week is now moved to Sunday noontime GMT, so 6 a.m. for us. Yeah, awful, absolutely awful. So if you're traveling, be wary, or be at least cognizant of that there was a fixture change because of this. I have not seen, and it's not on Spurs page yet, when this replay will be played. Does anyone know?
I just heard the 27th or the 28th. I don't think anything definitive has been set yet.
Okay, so
I think it will be the 28th. That's what it's provisionally set for.
Okay, so 28th at Wembley. I'm sure tickets will be rapidly going on sale for that. Rochdale, I'm sure, will be thrilled to bring their throng and sit in that away end. And it'll be a great day out for them. I think their chairman has already stated that the allocated monies for them, it's usually projected around 400, 500 K, will keep them running as a club for the next 3 years.
That's huge.
Ask them how big that 93rd minute goal was for them. So.
Yeah, they'll need that when they're in League 2 next season.
Yeah, I know, right? They're
hey,
get relegated.
Before we get off Rochdale, I just want to talk about one more thing on it.
Okay.
Toby's performance. I don't think we can leave this without talking about his performance. And he's just off the pace, and I think it shows why he hasn't been selected for the last couple big matches against Arsenal, against Juve. He's not there yet. And that final goal, to play it into the box instead of away, he's the one who had the glancing header. They had 5 players in the box, and that's where Toby put it.
Yeah.
And that's just, that's the final moment of the game. That's the lasting image of his performance that game. It was just... He's not up to his speed yet, and all the big talk this week is about his contract situation.
Yeah.
I mean, Sanchez is. I would way rather have Sanchez playing right now than Toby if that's the performance we're going to get out of him.
Sam, do you think though that some of that has to do with the newly laid pitch? I mean, about 3 or 4 minutes in, maybe it was a little bit after that, Toby slips going for a ball, and he just completely lost his footing, and then it happened again later in the match. Is it that he's tiptoeing around and trying not to continue to get hurt, or do you think that it truly is complete match fitness that's keeping him from performing the way that we expect?
I mean, it could be the pitch, but everybody, I think everybody was on somewhat equal footing, pardon the expression, there, because I mean, it's newly laid. I don't expect even Rochdale had a whole lot of time on it before the match. He's finding his way back into first-team football. I think part of it could be, some of the contract issues. I'm hopeful that sorts itself out. I'd like to think that if we have a true professional, he's certainly one of them on the club. But yeah, I mean, it looked. He was awkward today, and I can't ever think of a performance where Toby Alderweireld looked awkward, and he looked awkward at Rochdale. So it was just, It was really strange to see, but hopefully in time, I mean, he'll get he'll get more playing time. I mean, he's a world class defender, and all this contract stuff will hopefully take care of itself. I don't know whether that's really playing a role or not. I mean, who knows what's really true about all those stories? But he certainly was off. I mean, he was certainly off. But I think as far as the pitch goes, I mean, everybody's at a disadvantage there. So I don't think that Rochdale had any more of an advantage that we did there.
So Tim, before the equalizer in the 93rd minute, Dele comes on, plays for a bit, tumbles over in the box. We get a pen and go up 2-1 on a very resounding Harry Kane take. A lot of social media crybabying still going on from Liverpool fans that are pounding Twitter up and down as much as they can, talking about the diving and everything else. For you, that Dele penalty, was it a dive? Was it he felt it coming? He took the clip? Did the referee get that one right?
No, yes, and yes to your 3 questions. Was it a dive? No. Did he feel it coming? Yes. Did he dive? Did he invite the contact? Yes, 100%. He invited that contact. He knew it was coming. It wasn't a dive. There was contact, but he knew what he was doing, and it got us the penalty kick.
Well, there you go.
Do you think Kane's was a dive against Juve?
That one was more of a dive than Dele's.
You think?
I still don't know from those angles if there was contact or not. Once again, though, I mean, invited the contact.
See, this is where I would love to have Vass on right now, though, to talk about this, because every referee is different. And to the Fox Sports guys who were calling the game against Juve, they said, look, if he's going to give that penalty at the other end to Higuain, that when Davis clattered into him the way he did, it's the exact same thing that happened on the other side of the pitch. It should have been a pen.
I don't know. Hey, I don't know whether you saw it, or maybe you did, but Paxton Coatsy had a really good question about.
Tell me what it is, because I didn't see it.
It's about Juan Foyth, and it was basically, what'd you think of him? Do you think he has a future at Spurs, or do you think a player like him, or he will be ultimately sold on?
Oh, dude, he's got a future. That he plays with some balls. His confidence on the ball. I mean, think about it. He's coming over from Argentina, like playing European football and in the Premier League. With how he's picking it up right now, at least Sanchez, he had a year over at Ajax. This is him coming just straight over from South America. It's a completely different game. The physicality, especially going up against Rochdale, they were physical throughout the entire match.
Yeah.
But the confidence that he plays with, I do think he has a future. He's exciting. I mean,
did you see that bit that he did on the left side when he got in kind of traffic and got in a little bit of trouble, and then he just did like this pirouette? And he got out of that jam. It was
he plays with some flair.
It wasn't something that you'd expect a central defender to do, and he made it look pretty effortlessly, and it was very artistic as well. I was like, wow, that's really nice. Yeah. Like
give it 2 more years, learning from Poch, and man, he's going to be a player.
Look,
I'm excited about him.
I kind of am too. I mean, he look. Don't give me this. There's a couple of comparisons that I think are worth making. Like, one is Vlad, right? Because Vlad, forget about all the crazy ass shit that Vlad did, like the drunken stuff that he did on the pitch. But Vlad showed like these really moments of bravery and real sort of flair and finesse for a central defender, which is, the good was great, the bad was awful. But then you look at a player like John Stones, and I just keep on looking at him thinking he's about as John Stones-like of a player as we've ever had. At least in terms of just what he's, what he's showing in his good moments. So I kind of think, I think Potts likes him, an Argentinian thing, and he brings something different. Not afraid to bring the ball up. He's pretty brave.
Yeah, I would like to also think that he has a very good future at the club. To answer the question, especially with you got the Toby contract situation, and maybe we should talk about that briefly. Chairs, when you look at the Pochettino's system, and we've read the book and we understand how he thinks, and he has this foresight about him, he's not going to keep players around that are not going to be a part of the team and his system and how things work and what his expectations are. So At American Spur asks, it's a three-part question, and we'll talk about one of them. Thoughts on the Toby contract situation? If we could sell him for a good amount, would we want that? Want, I think, is the operative word there, because I don't think anybody wants to sell Toby. When he is on his game, there is no better center back on the planet.